Yeah.
You know, it works best if you just enter in the meeting ID and the password rather than joining the link.
Okay. And
Maybe just tell him.
Sorry, Steph. I don't know who 446220. We'll reach out to Councillor Diachuk and see if that's him. I just need confirmation if he's CFO 2021. I'll let him in. 20. Let me see. Question mark. If that's who if they're coming in with numbers, I just need to know who they are so I can admit them. I just don't want to have the wrong person in. Right. And we are streaming now. Yes.
Sorry, are we streaming with audio currently or without audio?
I believe we have audio.
Okay.
Councillor Baker, go ahead. Oh, you're muted, Councillor Baker. I got him, Your Worship. Okay.
Okay, we're unmuted. The whole agenda is taking up the screen. Didn't we have everybody's picture in here last week?
We did, I believe. I've got everybody on the right side, Councillor Baker.
All I got is you, Your Worship.
Okay. Councillor Baker, at the very top of my picture, do you see 4 boxes sort of on the left side and then a little box on the right? They're little white boxes.
Just looking here.
Asking if it's gallery view.
Galley view?
Gallery.
Because I've got everybody lined up on my right side of my screen, and I've got a series of boxes on the very top of above the picture.
Where did I go?
Oh, I'm back. Any luck with Councillor Torrison, City Clerk? He is on. He's on. Okay. I just don't see video or audio. So we're all good from the live stream side? Just gonna get the go here.
Can we just change Ken's name to Counselor Baker, please?
I'm going through that.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know if you noticed. Sorry. I shouldn't have expected anything less, Doug.
All right, I'm going to call this meeting together order shortly, but just a point of clarification. Should you have to step away from the meeting, would you please stop your video screen? And that will be able to allow the city clerk and administration to make note of that. And then when you come back into the room, just turn your screen back on, please. So with that, just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. With that, Doug, are we good to go, city clerk? We're good to go, your worship. I hereby call the City Governance and Priorities Committee meeting for the City of Lloydminster to order for Tuesday, April 14th. At this time, we'll take a silent moment of personal reflection. As a reminder, all members of council are obligated to declare a conflict of interest or a pecuniary interest as per section 133 of the Lloydminster Charter regarding any item on this agenda. This meeting is for discussion and information gathering only. All decisions will occur during regular council meetings. We thank all of our presenters for their time. With that, I will look to council for direction on the approval of the agenda that's been submitted. Councillor Buckingham.
Move that the agenda dated April 14th, 2020 be approved.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Diachuk. Thank you. Any further discussion before I call for the question on the agenda? Not seeing any. All in favor, please raise your hand. Did you get everybody there, City Clerk? Thank you. Those opposed? Carried. Moving on to item number 3, the approval of the previous meeting minutes. I'll look for direction from City Council. Councillor Buckingham.
Move that the Governance and Priority Committee minutes dated March 16th, 2020 be approved.
Thank you. Could I look for a seconder, please? Councillor Monroe. Thank you very much. And with that, is there any other questions coming up? Not seeing any. I'll call for the question. All in favor? Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, City Clerk. Opposed? Carried. All right, moving on to item number 4, administration reports. I will look to the City Manager.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. For the first 4.1 quarter 1 governance document review report, I'll ask Chelsea Legacy to report.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Administration has completed the first quarter governance document review. The attached report outlines all governance documents reviewed, created, or amended within the first quarter. As part of this review, administration has initiated a review of 7 bylaws and policies for Q1. In addition to this review, administration has brought forward an additional total 5 governance documents for approval. The objective is to provide the committee with an update of the governance documents that have been created or reviewed on a quarterly basis. Our options are that the committee accept this report as information, that the committee accept this report as information and recommend additional changes to the reviewed governance documents, or that the committee requests more information about the reviewed bylaws and policies. Alignment with our strategic plan. This item is in alignment with legislative compliance, ensuring that governance documents are reviewed periodically to ensure accuracy and compliance with legislation. Governance implications. The quarterly review and update to the committee is in accordance with the policy. I'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you, Chelsea. Any questions from council? Missing any questions from council? I'm just, I don't have everyone on the screen, so I'm hoping I'm trying to just figure this. Oh, there we are. Got Councilor Diachuk now. Okay, and Councilor Torson. All right, but I did lose Councilor Monroe, so I'm only able to get 6 screens here so far. So bear with me as I flip back and forth. Any questions from council on this item? Steve?
Actually, I had my hand up. Sorry, Your Worship.
Sorry, go ahead.
Comment. I appreciate this update. I think, again, it's sort of, I recognize that policy isn't everything, and there's an art and a science to all the decision making that we do. But in the absence of policy, we really wander in the field wondering where we're going. So I think this ongoing update and report reinforces the notion that we are driven by policy, and there is a sense of process that we use on council. So I think this whole process that's been set up is a good one, and just I want to extend my appreciation for the work that's being done around.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Diachuk.
Well spoken, Councillor Diachuk. I think that you're absolutely right. There's many policies that direct the city, and from that perspective, we need to ensure that they are staying up to date, and appreciate Chelsea's work leading that crew and the group, ensuring that that's coordinated with the various departments in the city.
Thank you.
I'm looking through the screens. I don't see any more hands up at this time for any comments. I've got everybody. So thank you very much, Chelsea. I believe that, as said, we appreciate the work well done.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Moving on to item 4.2, I'll look to the city manager.
Thank you, Your Worship. To present 4.2, the Fire Master Plan Comprehensive Implementation Plan, I'll ask Fire Chief Lee Sawicki to present.
Thank you.
Appears that we're having some technical difficulties there. Would you like me to carry on there, City Manager, while we try and resolve those difficulties?
Please do.
All right. I know that Marilyn will work in the background to resolve those difficulties. The item we have before council is the Fire Master Plan Comprehensive Implementation Plan. And the topic is to provide the committee with an implementation strategy as it relates to the Fire Master Plan created by Dillon Consulting as directed in November 25th, 2019. Based on the changes to the structure and the composition of the Lloyd Fire Department, the Fire Master Plan, developed by Dillon Consulting, was created to help inform the future strategic and operational direction of the Lloydminster Fire Department. The Fire Master Plan provided 13 council and 34 operational recommendations to be implemented over time, with considerations be given to any budgetary impacts of those recommendations. At the November 25th, 2019 meeting, council accepted the Fire Master Plan strategic planning document, acknowledging a shift in the fire services philosophy from a reactive response to recognizing the 5 E's model: education, economic incentives, enforcement, engineering, and emergency response. Since November, the fire department has implemented several recommendations, such as the web-based communications and additions on the 4th paid-on-call firefighter on the crew on January 2nd, 2020, which ensured that the fire services met the requirements set out under the National Fire Protection Association and FPA standards. The creation of policies, public education, as well as the prevention and inspection programs have been initiated in January 2020. The information from the Fire Master Plan and the Community Risk Assessment will allow the smooth implementation over time that will aim to reduce the incidences of fires and the need for responses. The objective was to create a timeframe for implementation of Fire Master Plan objectives. As identified through the Dillon Consulting Report, the committee accepted the report, and the options are the committee accept the report as information or ask for further information. And I'll turn it back to you, Your Worship. And I see that we're still trying to resolve the issues. I think we have him with our audio. Are you with us?
Yes, I can hear you. I just seem to be getting double on my computer.
All right, well, audio is better than nothing. Your Worship, back to you.
Thank you very much, City Clerk, and welcome, Chief. It's great to have you with us, at least by audio. So your Fire Master Plan, if you'd like to carry on, if there's anything in particular you wanted to highlight from the Fire Master Plan implementation?
Basically, this is a living document. It's being implemented, and we've currently implemented some of the master plan recommendations, and we're well into moving forward with the majority of the others.
All right. If I can, Fire Chief, in just looking at page 1 of the report, after the executive summary, we see green, we see blue, we see yellow, so that's, you've got some of the different categories. And looking at the first item, priority I/T versus an S/T, could you define what an IT
Sure.
Please?
Yeah, so the IT stands for immediate term. Under the Dillon consulting recommendations, they had separated most of all of the recommendations into 2 separate categories. Immediate term is from 0 to 12 months. So within the first year, they would like to see that recommendation implemented. And short term is anywhere from 1 year to 3 years implementation.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Councillor Buckingham.
Thank you, Worship. Chief, as we get going through all these things, I'd be curious on your thoughts. Of course, this whole plan was done without your input, as you weren't here yet. Is there anything in this plan that is of immediate concern to you, something you don't think you're going to be able to implement over time, or something that you're concerned about implementing at all?
I'm just quickly scrolling down to some of these here. Some of the ones that I don't necessarily think, like operational recommendation number 32, consideration be given to implementing the proposed training committee, like a training committee. I'm not sure if we necessarily need a training committee. That's something that we're still looking into at this point. Most of our training objectives are well underway in relation to most of the other recommendations. So that one just stands out as a question.
But as far as the rest goes, you're satisfied by?
Yeah, I'm happy with most of those, or pretty much all of them. Most, or a good portion of these, all fall under similar recommendations, which we've kind of highlighted in our update. An example, operational recommendation 25, it ties to recommendation 2, 14, 22, and 24. So we are lumping a lot of them into one implementation plan. They all tie together at that point.
Yeah, it's an unenviable position to come into, or possibly enviable to come into a position where you got this opportunity in front of you. So I was just curious as to your thoughts. We haven't had the opportunity to ask you directly on your thoughts.
From the plan itself, I think it's a great roadmap to moving forward in efficiencies within the department. It's a great roadmap. And I'm actually looking forward to working with the department on implementing all of these, if not all of these, recommendations.
Yeah, I just wanted to have your thoughts on it because you know, under new leadership, you should be given all opportunity to have your feedback on this. And if you're satisfied with that, then I'm satisfied also.
No, I'm satisfied with it. I think it's like where we've highlighted in progress. Those are ones that we're already moving forward on. The research portion of it, I mean, it's a living document. We may come back in some of those recommendations that are under research. There could be some changes in the future related to how some of the other recommendations roll out as well.
Thank you, Chief. I'll just look to the next screen. Councillor Torres, I see you have your hand, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, my question was just kind of around, you know, when this document was made, the circumstances have changed quite a bit right now from the world we're living in. So the one I was looking at and thinking about it on the fire prevention and education side and inspections. I understand that inspections, those kind of things would be a challenge at a time like this, going into people's houses under the kind of COVID scenario we're in right now. But I'm curious if the fire department is working on anything that they can push out in terms of information for fire prevention and education, especially because I just looked back a year and remember it was one day ago to the year tomorrow that I think we had 3 or 4 fires, you know, within like big fires within a few days. There were several that were kind of barbecue related and things like that. And it was a really busy time of year last year around this time. So I'm wondering if the fire department is working on anything to be able to do some of this stuff remotely or pushing out information via social media or traditional media.
We have the ability definitely to work with social media and regular media options for fire prevention. I know that Chief Easting and myself have both been working on the fire prevention aspect of the master plan. Even up to 2 months ago, we started looking at having changes start. We would have probably had specific areas of the fire prevention program already implemented, but due to the pandemic concerns, that has been put on hold. But you know, from the social media aspect, I definitely think that's something that we're working towards to get something out to the public.
All right, thank you. Yeah, just from my perspective of, and I don't know why it is, if it's just in my mind or if this is a true fact, but you know, this time of year with it just seemed like there was a lot of fires this time of year, whether it was a coincidence or not. Or I remember one of them being a barbecue related one where people's crud was all in there after the year and they went for their first barbecue and it melted the siding and the house started on fire. I believe that was one of them. I'm just wondering if sooner than later we can get information out so that the public knows and understands some of the risks that could be happening with different activities that come up through the year sooner.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think that the fire prevention isn't related to just specific times of the year. I think fire prevention should be 12 months of the year. Our message that we can put out to the public will be related